in 1999, I worked as a busboy on a travel bus that went up north in the country. This happened during the New Year festival when there were fewer buses running, which caused some issues that day. That night, we were supposed to leave around 8 p.m., but by 8:30 p.m., the ticket seller came to me and said, "Tell the passengers the bus will be delayed by 4 hours because of the New Year crowds. The company is bringing a backup bus, which will be 4 hours late, so instead of leaving at 8 p.m., it'll be midnight." I had to tell the passengers and ask if they were willing to wait or if they wanted a refund or to change to the next trip. As midnight approached, the ticket seller came back and said, "Tell the passengers the bus is arriving at the station now." They gave me the passenger list to check before boarding. Looking at the list, I saw that half the passengers had refunded their tickets. Normally, this bus had 32 sleeper seats, so with half the passengers gone, there were about 16 seats left. Usually, the bus is divided into 2 sections, one by the entrance and one behind the driver. All 16 refunded tickets were from the right side of the bus. After everyone boarded, I introduced myself to the passengers and also introduced the driver. I told them they could sit anywhere since the bus wasn't full. Then I turned off the lights and we started our journey. By 2 a.m., the driver asked me for some coffee, so I walked to the back of the bus to get it for him. On my way back with the coffee, I saw a passenger sitting on the empty left side where all the refunded tickets were. He was slumped over, asleep, with his head down and his blanket on the floor. I picked up the blanket and covered him again, then went back to sit next to the driver. The driver told me, "Don't fall asleep." We kept chatting for a while until another passenger came up to me and tapped my arm, asking if they could sit with us. After that, the passenger asked me how many people were on the bus. I replied that there were about 16. The passenger then said, "Really? Check again, count again." After talking to the passenger, I went and counted everyone on the bus again. I counted 17 people, which was more than the number on the list from the ticket seller. After counting 17 people, I didn't think it had anything to do with ghosts, so I counted again. Still 17. I figured maybe someone snuck on the bus after we left. I told the driver there were 17 people. The driver asked, "Are you sure you checked properly?" I wondered if someone had gotten on the bus at some point along the way, but I remembered that we hadn't stopped to pick anyone up. The driver asked if I was sure they were all people. I joked, "If they're not people, then they must be ghosts. But if it's a ghost, why be scared?" The driver replied, "They'll leave when the sun comes up." He kept telling me not to fall asleep over and over. I didn't think I would fall asleep since it was almost dawn. By 5:30 a.m., we were getting close to our destination. The passenger who had asked to sit next to me was still sitting with me. Around 6:30 a.m., nearing our final stop, I had to wake the passengers to serve coffee. The driver turned on the lights to help wake everyone up. When I walked to the back of the bus to serve coffee, I noticed the passenger who had been slumped over with his head down was gone. I thought, maybe he wasn't a person after all. I remembered the driver's words about ghosts leaving when the sun comes up. At the destination, as I was helping passengers off the bus, I counted them again. There were 16, not 17 like before. I thought, maybe it really was a ghost. While I was seeing everyone off, I saw the man who had sat next to me all night. We made eye contact, and he invited me and the driver to sit and chat. He told us that after I announced passengers could sit anywhere, he had moved to the left side where all the tickets had been refunded. When he sat there, there was an air vent blowing cold air directly down on him. He said there was a terrible smell. It was so bad that it woke him up because he couldn't sleep. When he opened his eyes, he saw the passenger with his head slumped sitting right next to him. He thought to himself, "With all these empty seats, why does this guy have to sit right next to me?" So he moved to the other side, opposite from where the slumped passenger was sitting. After he moved, he saw the slumped passenger's head start to turn left and right, forward and back, like his neck was rotating all the way around. After telling us this, the passenger asked the driver if there was any history with this bus. The driver sighed and then started telling his story. He said that last year he was driving this same bus during the New Year festival. He tried to overtake a trailer truck but couldn't make it and ended up sideswiping it. The entire left side of the bus got ripped open and many passengers died on the spot. On the left side where the bus attendant and busboy were sitting, they died instantly while still asleep. That's why the driver kept telling me, "Don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep." After the accident, the driver spent 3 days in the ICU. When he woke up, his wife told him that the boss said he couldn't drive buses anymore. The company took care of the legal issues and compensations for the victims, and the driver was reassigned to work in the garage only. After that accident, the bus was taken back for major repairs and a new paint job to get it ready for use again. It was kept in the garage. The driver said that when he found out he would be driving the same bus that night, he felt scared too. Today, the bus that was supposed to pick up the passengers broke down and was in the shop. They had no choice but to use the bus from last year's accident, which was a last resort. And that's the whole story. I worked as a busboy for 1 more year after that, and then quit to do something else.